Welcome back to Squawk with me, Bruce Whitfield. Douw Steyn, the 158th richest person in Britain. I don't know why we're calling him that, but he has got insurance companies there as well as here. He's got a personal wealth north of 8 billion rand. He's set to launch his own private city next year. All roads lead to Steyn City, perhaps. Plus, the development is known as Mr. Steyn City, in the Steyn City, will cost a whopping 6 billion rand even before the first homes are built. Let's show a 1,000-acre property, which would be bigger than Sandton. Would you go and live in Steyn City?
Geesh. It's a bit far out, don't you think? I mean, the other side of 4 is that's almost another province for those of us in Joburg.
But you can create a brand new city, but if you can't get in and out, then what's the point? Because infrastructure, municipal infrastructure, all of that sort of stuff has to be laid there as well. But Douw Steyn's been a clever guy for a long time, David Shapiro. What is he seeing that we're not?
I'm not quite sure because, you know, sometimes, who knows, you can make mistakes. Trump's done it. A lot of the Reichmans did it. You know, all these huge property developers have made huge errors over believing. I'm not sure. What always astonishes me is where do these people find the money to buy these houses? You know, I work hard and I try, and I'm sure as you do, you try to accumulate money. Where do people find it to actually buy a 100 million rand house or something like that? Are there so many rich people, or has empowerment been so enriching that you've got a, you've got a population that can actually spend that kind of money?
I think there's another angle to this, and that's where we're seeing a huge number of people immigrating into Johannesburg. So even if it's from within South Africa, or if they're foreigners from Africa,
they're not going to be spending
not
100 million rand a house in Steyn City.
Maybe not Steyn City, but I think that's where the price tag comes from. They're foreign buyers. They're coming in with hard currency. With the rand doing what it's doing now, that certainly bolsters.
Oh, these what Peter Bruce calls men in shiny suits.
I think so. But I was speaking to a property broker yesterday, and he was telling me about how he did a deal on a house in Sandhurst. You know Sandhurst very well. Some of South Africa's most well-heeled currently live in Sandhurst before they move out to Steyn City. House on the market with a mortgage on it of 65 million rand.
A mortgage of 65. Ouch.
What do you have to be earning to be paying a mortgage of 65 million?
You're talking multi-millions. And I mean, it's...
They couldn't sell the property. Sold to a Nigerian bloke for 26 or 27, which he's paid in cash. So he's got a good deal on a decent property. Well, those nice people at Investec have had to write it off. Nobody else will buy the property at 60 million rand or thereabouts.
Deep discount, I guess.
But it comes from the madness of 5 or 6 years ago, where people were giving money willy-nilly to property.
Well, that's what worries me. You know, that's what worries me about a lot of the banks with property on their balance sheet. You know, there is a certain amount of value on it, but will they ever realize it? Bruce, we look at the markets every day. We look at company results. We're not seeing a trend that is really encouraging us.
But that's the difference between the property guys and you guys, because you guys are looking at next week, at best. These guys invest for the future. The guys who invested in Sandton City in 1968 when it was sitting in the veldt are geniuses. They got it right. There's no saying that the guys are doing their investment.
Gordon,
Absolutely.
And the Rappenmeister boys.
But good property investment is done with 30 and 40-year views as to...
You've got to find the bank, though, that's going to put the money behind that in this kind of environment.
But you look at the money that's going to office development. Standard Bank has just built a massive tower in Rosebank. Sasol's building one in Sandton. You go along Oxford and Rivonia roads. There are buildings going up all over the place. There's demand.
Solid tenants, though.
Yeah.
So, you know, you've got a tenant like Sasol where you can forecast they'll be around 10 years. Standard Bank has been around here for over 100. They'll be here. But where you've got to go sell that house to some dodgy chap who's coming in wherever with a 40 billion bond, you've got to be nuts.
But he wasn't dodgy.
Haven't Investec been hurt already? I mean, they've been hurt already.
But that's the point.
They're not going to do it again.
The residential property sector is very different from the commercial property sector. The commercial property sector, people are prepared to invest. Steyn City is a big bet on the continued split of the wealth story in South Africa, and the continued ability of wealthy South Africans to want to invest their personal wealth in bricks and mortar in South Africa. That's
the only question I ask, why is he in the UK?
He took an insurance, Auto General got a bit small, I suppose, and he went and bought some insurance businesses in the UK.
So he lives in the UK?
No, I'm not sure where he lives. He doesn't phone.
Makes the headlines a lot.
He doesn't phone. Apparently he had a very nice house in Sandhurst, which he turned into the Saxon, of course.
Well, he's not in Steyn City yet.
No.
But, I mean, this is effectively, it's a bet on the fact that the city is going to expand to effectively incorporate that part of town into the greater metropolitan Johannesburg region. I mean, if you spoke to anyone in Midrand 20, 30 years ago as well, now Midrand's starting to become more
They would have said,
central.
don't step on my mealies.
Assuming that your transport nodes actually extend out west and it incorporates, and I think that's a big requirement, but assuming that happens, if you take a 30-year view, maybe it's a very long-term play, and I don't know if I'm patient enough to wait around.
But he's competing with the Mias. I mean, they own that huge area.
Woodmead, yes.
Why doesn't he just build a Taj Mahal to, I was going to say, to some woman he loves, but there seem to be a lot in there.
No. Okay. I don't know. I deny, Your Honor.